What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. We are here for another mock draft Monday, so hopefully you guys are all excited for that. Today we're going to be doing another weekly winners draft over on Underdog Fantasy, and we're going to be doing the Hero RB strategy today. So we're going to help you guys figure out what that is. If you're not familiar with what Hero RB is, we'll explain it to you, and we'll just get right into it. But I got the draft up and loaded, so let's add this to the stream, and we can start talking some fantasy football. If you're not familiar with the Hero RB, really what that is you've probably heard of zero RB, which means that you are punting the running back position down the line so you can load up on wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, really make a difference in those positions. But what Hero RB is kind of like zero RB, except you take one of the elite running backs. So you're going to target a Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, Eckler, Chubb, Saquon, one of these really top guys here. And once you get one of those guys, you then punt the position. So your RB2 will be a little bit weaker. You'll target guys that are in ambiguous backfields, maybe guys who could see significant increases in value if there's an injury ahead of them and things like that. But it allows you to kind of have a pillar at the running back position, I guess, for lack of better terms, and then go on from there and fill out the other positions. So that is what we are going to be doing today. I see we got Shane in the chat. What is up, man? Thank you for tapping in. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you are ready to help us draft a Hero RB draft today. And you see we are on the clock or not on the clock. We have the 11th pick in the draft today. So we're going to be drafting from that late turn, which does suck because we're not going to get a Christian McCaffrey. We're probably not going to get an Austin Eckler, but we can probably get one of those other guys. So hopefully that is something that we can do. And then we're going to try and make some difference at some other positions. So as we get through this, we will kind of answer any fantasy football questions that you guys have as well. If you haven't joined our Discord, go join the Discord. It is free to join. It's going to be linked in the description or in the YouTube banner. We are doing a live Q&A in there later this week, and we are taking submissions for our Dynasty trade show. So if you have Dynasty fantasy football trades that you want to be graded on our next episode of trade reviews, go submit them in our Discord. But you see, Bijan, Christian McCaffrey, and Austin Eckler all come off the board. So what we are going to be looking to do with our hero RB build is probably end up taking we're probably going to end up taking Chubb or Barkley. That's probably what we're going to do. And I think what we'll try and do is we'll try and grab Barkley in that second turn. Caleb, I see you, man. He says, win that money. Yes, sir. This is the weekly winner. So hopefully we can win money multiple weeks throughout the year here on Underdog Fantasy. So you see, just coming off the board after Eckler was Cooper Kupp and A.J. Brown. Hopefully Carson doesn't take one of these guys here. He takes Stephon Diggs, which is who I wanted. But we will start off our draft here today with he's in the thumbnail, so we got to get somebody in the thumbnail. It's going to be Davante Adams. He's going to be the guy we start off our draft with today, and then we will add Saquon Barkley here at that 14. Unless Kayla... Okay, all right. That's what we're going to do. So that is going to be our hero RB. Saquon Barkley is the hero of this build today. So at this point, we are going to punt that position till a lot later in the draft, and we are going to load up on wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, all that stuff. That's what we're going to do. And Shane, over CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I mean, I took him over CeeDee. It's with underdog here. When you play in these tournaments, it's a little bit different than your standard redraft league. So when you play in these tournaments, you have multiple lineups that can all be entered to win. You want to kind of diversify. And I've talked about this before, but when you have guys like CeeDee Lamb on a team, and then you draft him on every single team that's in this weekly winners tournament, if CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, then you're damaging 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that all have CeeDee Lamb. So I try and diversify at least at the top of my draft because all of these guys are studs. At the end of the day, they're all studs up here. So I try and diversify those assets. And then that way, if somebody does get hurt, I'm not killing a bunch of rosters. And I love CeeDee Lamb. I've been taking CeeDee Lamb a lot this year. I haven't drafted a ton of Davante Adams. So I'm getting a couple shares here as of lately, trying to get some Davante Adams on some rosters. And, last year he performed really well, and I think that I just don't think he's fallen off yet. So Davante Adams will be picked over CeeDee Lamb for me there. But you see, even Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jalen Waddle got picked over CeeDee Lamb too. And then we had a bunch of quarterbacks in this round. So Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. Then Garrett Wilson, Derrick Henry, Chris Olave, and Tony Pollard. And then Mark Andrews comes off the board to finish that off. So pretty interesting draft so far for the most part. We saw Travis Kelce go at 105, and keep in mind, this is not a tight end premium scoring. This is just normal half point per reception for your tight ends. It's the same half point PPR for the wide receivers and the running backs as well. So it's interesting to see Kelce go that high. I know he is a significant difference maker for your fantasy football rosters, but is Travis Kelce going too high? I'm going to ask the question here because I feel like Travis Kelce is skyrocketing up draft boards this year, where he's sometimes even going as like the third, fourth, or fifth player off the board. Is that too high in a non-tight end premium league? That's the question that I want to ask you guys today. We're on live, so you guys just saw that, right? You saw that I just spilled that water all over myself. It's all good, though. Lamar Jackson, first quarterback off the board in the third round. Jonathan Taylor then comes off the board, followed by Devontae Smith, Deebo Samuel, Calvin Ridley, And Calvin Ridley's starting to sneak up draft boards a little bit more now, too, because we're getting the training camp highlights. We're getting the buzz. Calvin Ridley's looking really good. And he's starting to creep up these drafts here over on Underdog Fantasy. And Shane here in the chat says, I keep waiting for Kelsey to fall off because of age. Keeps proving me wrong. Yeah, I mean, we throw around that word generational. We throw around the generational word a lot when we talk about guys in fantasy football. But Travis Kelsey, he's really one of those once in a decade players that you get, man. He's just dominated the tight end position for years and years and years and years. And I think it helps a lot too when you get to play with the best quarterback in the National Football League, Patrick Mahomes, every season too. It definitely helps as you age to get a guy like Mahomes on your team throwing you the football. So he's going to be good. And you're right, El Travador is for real. Yes, he is. So Ramondre Stevenson comes off of the board, T. Higgins off the board, DK Metcalf off the board. And then let's look at what we're going to do because Josh Jacobs comes off the board there too. And we're going to look to add another position here. Like I said, we're going to go hero RB and punt that running back 2 slot. So we're looking at quarterback, wide receiver, running back, one of those. I mean, tight end, not running back. And so we'll see what we can do. Jerry Jeudy comes off the board. I think what we're going to end up grabbing here is, let's see. I think we want to go with Amari Cooper. He's somebody I've been drafting in leagues a lot this year. I really do like Amari Cooper. Then you see Justin Herbert come off the board. And let's see who else is going to come off the board. And Shane says, Judy's spike games are so good. Yeah, they just haven't been consistent, right? Like that's kind of been the thing with Jerry Jeudy so far is he hasn't been super consistent. And I think what we're going to do here, guys, is this is kind of a tier where this is that weekly winners. You want to have one of those top elite quarterbacks. And we want to get somebody who's really good, and it's going to be Justin Fields. I'm going to take him mainly because this is 4-point passing, and there's the rushing upside for Justin Fields. And I know a lot of people aren't worried about it, but Joe Burrow does have that calf injury, and even if he misses, 1 or 2 weeks or decides that he's not 100% for 1 or 2 weeks, that can hurt us in a tournament like this where we are getting paid every single week if you score the highest in those weeks. So we want to have guys healthy week 1 ready to go. And Justin Fields, man, I think he has the ability this year to really go nuts for fantasy football, especially if DJ Moore helps him take that next step forward. Shane says at the end of the season, he was once Russ got better. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? You're going to bet on Russell Wilson kind of regaining form a little bit. You're going to bet on some better play calling from Sean Payton. And that's really the route that you're going to bet with Jerry Jeudy this year. But his ADP, I think for the most part feels normal. It doesn't feel like he's going very high, but it doesn't feel like he's like a value either. I think it's pretty accurate where he's being drafted right now. I think there's a couple guys in his range that I'd rather have. I'd rather have the DK Metcalf. I'd rather have the Cooper. I might even rather have the Keenan Allen. But I don't think he's not a good value down here. I just don't think you get what I'm saying? I think he's just accurately priced right here. I don't think it's anything special for Jerry Jeudy. Just not a big fan of Jerry Jeudy. Brett, I see in the chat says I'm tapped in. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being tapped into the content. Means the world. So you see right after we drafted our quarterback in Justin Fields, we went Keenan Allen, or they went Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Gabe Davis, Joe Mixon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Joe Burrow, Terry McLaurin, Breece Hall, Najee Harris, Christian Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Brandon Ayuk. That is what has come off the board. Shane, you said, yeah, he's just not safe. Big upside. And I agree. But you see kind of where we were drafting him. We were drafting him to be our wide receiver too. And in a league where you could argue that Devontae Adams has a little bit more risk than normal, just based off of previous seasons, right? We would say Devontae Adams has a little bit more risk this year than normal. And I just don't want to have risk with that second quarterback. I think Amari Cooper has just as high of a ceiling as Jerry Jeudy, and I think he's probably safer this year. So Amari Cooper's been a guy that I like all offseason. I've been drafting him all over the place. And I hear y'all talking about Jeudy. I like Jeudy a lot, low key. Yeah, man, it's to each their own, right? I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's good. It's just I'm indifferent on Jerry Jeudy. So right after Ayuk, we had George Kittle, DeAndre Hopkins, Darren Waller, Aaron Jones, Tyler Lockett, Drake London, and then we're going to be on the clock here. And got to be cautious of some bye weeks. But I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to take Christian Kirk here, try and get Trevor Lawrence's wide receiver 2, and then we're going to hopefully come back around and take Deontay Johnson here at 6, or with that bye week 6. So that is going to be our little loop right there. Again, we're doing a hero RB. So if you guys are wondering why I'm not taking RB, we are punting that running back 2 position because we're anchoring our team with Saquon Barkley, and then we're going to fill it out with some a bunch of other guys here as we get later into these drafts. But so far, what is your guys' thoughts of this roster with Justin Fields, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, and Deontay Johnson? We'll get back here to the chat. You guys always flirting with each other, man. You guys are always flirting with each other. I love it. Spread the love, whatever. Brett says draft Paris Campbell. Yeah, man. Apparently, if you guys have been tapped into the channel, we did a giveaway for a mystery signed NFL jersey mystery box. And Brett was the winner of it. We sent him off the jersey and he opened it up, and apparently it was Paris Campbell. So sorry, Brett, we won't be doing a mystery box anymore. I will just be buying stars that sign footballs or jerseys or pylons or helmets or whatever moving forward. So you guys get tapped into that Discord because we will do another giveaway here soon. Actually, it's going to be pretty soon, so make sure you tap in. And no more Paris Campbells. That's not what we're going to be doing, but hopefully, Brett, because it was a free giveaway and you didn't pay anything to enter, hopefully it's still okay for you. Shane, you said take a tight end soon this time. Yeah, maybe. Might as well if you're punting RB. It just depends, man. The value of tight ends is so weird this year. It's just if you're not getting one of those top guys, I just really don't want them because I don't feel like they make a difference compared to the guys down below. And so we've kind of already had the Kyle Pitts, the George Kittles, the Darren Wallers, the TJ Hawkinsons, the Mark Andrews. They've all come off the board. And so it's tough, man. I don't like drafting these guys that early. Because look, we're looking at guys like Ingram and Njoku, Freiermuth, Kincaid. Like what is the difference from a redraft standpoint, especially in a best ball league, between those guys and like a Cole Kmet, Sam Laporta, Tyler Higbee? I would argue not much, and you're just getting a much better value down there. So that's kind of my argument for why I've been punting these tight ends if I don't take one of those other ones early. But I guess, again, to each their own. So let's get back to this board. Let's kind of recap what's been happening. But since Deontay Johnson came off the board, we had Dallas Goedert, Mike Williams, JSN, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cam Akers, Jordan Addison, Marquise Brown, Kyle Pitts, James Conner, Alvin Kamara, Alexander Madison, David Montgomery, and then we'll come around the others. Shane, that's just tough, man. That's tough. And my first giveaway winner should be voided. Well, here's the reality, Brett. You can enter the giveaway anytime we have a giveaway. You can enter it. So that's for you to win, I guess. Maybe again. Miles Sanders off the board. I love the value on Miles Sanders this year. Zay Flowers comes off the board. Tua Tagovailoa off the board. And then Deshaun Watson off the board. So we had a couple more quarterbacks come off as we got down here closer. And we'll pull up the actual draft board now that we're getting closer to our pick. And we're probably we might take our RB2 here, just one of them, and then keep punting a little bit more because I want probably Rachaad White. That's probably who I want to go. I like drafting him as an RB2 if we decide to punt that RB2 position a little bit more because he can fall into some opportunity down here, especially for the Buccaneers. The backfield is pretty empty right now. I know there's a lot of Sean Tucker love on Twitter right now, but the reality is Rachaad White's been there. So Quentin Johnson or DeAndre Swift, Quentin Johnson, and then Rachaad White. As soon as we say that, of course, he comes off the board. So we're actually going to punt. We're going to keep punting, man. And what we'll do is I'll do this for you, Shane. We'll take Brandon. Actually, we'll take Evan Engram. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, we'll take Evan Engram. So we'll take him. I got you a tight end, and then we're going to keep punting that running back. But what we might do here is we're going to take either probably Dotson or Pittman or Brandon Cooks. There goes Cooks. So we'll probably take Pittman. I know a lot of people don't like Pittman this year with Anthony Richardson throwing him the football, but he's going to be our wide receiver 5. I just feel like the upside for Pittman is, he can get some big plays here and there. If he gets those big plays, he finds his way in our lineup. If not, no worries. He's drafted as our wide receiver 5. So that is what we're going to keep doing. We do want to find a stack with Justin Fields down the line. Maybe it's a Claypool. Maybe it's a Cole Kmet because his value is pretty low in these leagues. So maybe it's going to be Cole Kmet here for Justin Fields. I think I like that the most. And again, we're going to just keep going with this running back punt. And eventually, once we get to a point where we start taking them, we're going to take a lot of them, and we're going to take a lot of them quickly. Marshall, I see you in here saying Pittman's a good value at this spot. Yeah, man, I agree. I think, like I said, as the wide receiver 5 for this roster, it's pretty low risk, high reward there too. So we'll get back to this draft board. Since Pittman came off the board, Dotson, Burks, James Cook, Pacheco, and J.K. Dobbins. And let's see what we can do, because I want to start marking some of these guys down here. I wouldn't mind if he's there our next pick. We could take Dalv. Gibson's a good RB2. Maybe a Brian Robinson. A-Chain's decent. We want to avoid this week 13 bye if we can, which kind of takes us out of the Chicago backfield, but we could get a Jamal Williams, a Jerick McKinnon, an Elijah Mitchell. I like Damian Harris, but again, that week 13, Bigsby, Warren, these are kind of the guys that we'll be targeting for that RB2, and we'll take a bunch of them at once. So we might end up doing that with our next pick. We might take double RB just to kind of start loading up on some of them. But it really just depends, I guess, as this draft keeps unfolding, because we do have 18 rounds, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. So 10 more rounds, and we probably want 5 or 6 running backs to go with Saquon. Probably only need 1 or 2 more wide receivers. So then after Dobbins, it was Sky Moore, Elijah Moore, David Njoku, Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman, Jamison Williams, Kirk Cousins, and Anthony Richardson. Matt Bowers, what up, man? Nico Collins off the board. And then Dak Prescott off the board as well. Geno Smith off the board for you, Shane, Seahawks guy. Marshall, the Njoku fan club captain here. And hopefully we can get Dalv right here, man. And even if Dalvin Cook ends up a Jet or a Dolphin, either one, that'll be a week 7 bye week or a week 10 bye week, which will not conflict with Saquon. So that'll be fine for us too. Brett says thoughts on Sutton. Dude, of course we got sniped with Dalvin right there. I'll give you my thoughts on Sutton in just a second. We're going to pick... Probably going to go in Antonio Gibson here. And then we'll come back around and we'll probably take an A-Chain or maybe a Dylan. It just depends. But my thoughts on Sutton are... I've been a big Sutton fan over the last couple of years. The rumor coming out of Denver right now is that they're using him in a, we're going to go A chain. The rumor is that they're using him in a Mike Thomas-esque role there, which is going to be more slants. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I know he's a slant. They joke about him being a slant god. But the reality is they're going to not use him as much downfield. They're going to use him more in the middle of the field and short passes, which is good because that is usually the first read, quick tempo. That's the guy who's going to get the ball a lot of the time. So I don't mind Cortland Sutton. I mean, definitely at the value that he's going right now. I mean, let's just see, because I don't even think he's been drafted yet. He might have got drafted. Probably did. But he's going pretty late, significantly later than Jerry Jeudy. So I don't mind Cortland Sutton this year. The reality is I'm not seeking to draft Cortland Sutton like I have in previous years. I'm not seeking to draft him this year. If he lands on my team, he lands on my team. If not, I'm not mad about it. So then you see we went Antonio Gibson, then Dylan and Kyler comes off the board. Then we went Devon Achane, B-Rob, Allen Lazard, Dalton Kincaid, Odell Beckham, Aaron Rodgers, Rashad Penny, Taysom Hill, and Daniel Jones. So one thing that we need to kind of look for too is we need to get our backup quarterback for bye weeks or injuries. And then we also need to kind of look for when we need to take Cole Kmet, because I do want to target Cole Kmet as my backup tight end. And then we also need one or two more wide receivers. Brett says, I feel like Cortland can still be the wide receiver one on that team. Yeah, I agree. I think he can be. I don't think anybody has locked it up. Clearly, ADP thinks that Jerry Jeudy is locked and loaded the wide receiver one. I think the reality is that Cortland Sutton, he plays that true X wide receiver position, which is tough to play. It's tough for fantasy football too. Think of it similar to like the George Pickens type. A lot of people like Deontay Johnson more than George Pickens because Deontay Johnson gets more volume, and it's because he's not playing the X wide receiver position. So that's kind of how I view it there. Cortland would play that Pickens role, and Deontay plays the Jeudy role. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Zay Jones comes off the board after Daniel Jones. Again, I've said this before, guys. The Taysom Hill draft ADP is ridiculous. I just think it's such a weird pick. And I think a lot of people are trying to get sneaky because he can run out of the backfield or do stuff like that. It just feels like such a wasted pick, especially over guys like Freiermuth and Dulcich. I just don't like the ADP of Taysom Hill this year. And so as we approach our pick, we have 13, 14, and 10. So definitely a Jamal and an Elijah Mitchell would be really good here, or a Jamal and a Tank Bigsby. That's kind of what we want to do with these next two picks. So there went Elijah. So we'll take Jamal, especially with Kamara missing 3 games. We know we can get a couple weeks out of Jamal as the running back one. And then we'll go Tank Bigsby here, who's expected to push for some touches this season as well. And so all of a sudden, we have this mix of Antonio Gibson, Achane, Jamal Williams, Tank Bigsby, all of those guys in the mix for our RB2. And now that we've started to load this up, we need to just keep in mind, we need one of these picks. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 rounds left here. One is a backup quarterback. One is a tight end. So probably one more or 2 more of these. I would say one more is going to be a wide receiver, and then the rest are going to be running backs. And we're probably going to go our wide receiver here pretty quickly because as we get later into these last 4 rounds, the running backs are just a lot better on the board than the wide receivers. Shane says, yay, Jamal, the GOAT human being. Pretty cool guy, right? So let's kind of see what we want to do. Our next pick is going to be that, what is it? It's 155 and 158. That's our next pick. So we probably want to keep an eye on Kmet. I doubt he falls, but if he does, that's kind of what we wanted to do. We may have had to take him on this last one, but that's fine. We had better running backs on the board, and we needed to fill that position more. So Cole Kmet is likely on one of these next picks for us. I don't mind a Van Jefferson because we don't have a guy with week 10. I don't mind a KJ Osborne as we get down there. Maybe just adding a Adam Thielen or a DJ Shark just to buy into that. Man, I hate when this keeps happening. And that's kind of what we're going to look to do. And then after that, we're probably just running backs and stuff the rest of the way. We also probably need to grab one of these. I like Kenny Pickett down here. I know a lot of people don't like Kenny Pickett, but I like Kenny Pickett down here. And yeah, that's what you're talking about, Shane, right? Second QB. When are we doing it? We're probably going to grab the tight end first and then the wide receiver. And then that next pick is when we're going to go for it because there's just, I don't think there's a big tier difference between like a Stafford, a Purdy, a Love. I don't think the difference between them and even like a guy like Jimmy G or a Ryan Tannehill even is that big of a difference. I know it's kind of crazy to say that, but I just don't see the difference that big. Especially when we have a guy like Justin Fields, who we think is going to be our starter pretty much every week unless he's injured. So let's get back here. After our Tank Bigsby pick, we had Jalen Warren, Damian Harrison, Jonathan Mingo, Higbee, Jacoby Myers, MVS, Osborne, Laporta, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Adam Thielen, Michael Gallup, Kendre Miller, Raheem Mostert, Van Jefferson, Marvin Mims, and Rondell Moore. Obviously, all of our wide receivers that we had wanted came off the board, other than DJ Shark. So that's our one glimpse of a wide receiver that we still had, but we're going to target Cole Kmet first. That is the guy we want to target. So hopefully Carson doesn't snipe us here and we can just grab Cole Kmet. Maybe he'll pick. Maybe not. And if he gets autoed, it should just be Schultz. Oh, it's Jalen Hyatt. So we'll go Cole Kmet. Just lock him in there. We're good at our tight end position with Engram and Kmet for the rest of this build. And then we'll go Shark. If Shark gets taken, I don't know. And he's not going to get taken. So we'll go DJ Shark. So I feel really good about that tight end position. We don't got to worry about that anymore. Obviously a backup quarterback and then probably 2 or 3 more running backs. That's really all that's left for this build. So we got to start targeting guys who can find opportunity or guys that are pass catching roles or maybe guys that you think can score a touchdown any given week, goal line backs, things like that. Paris Campbell looking juicy. Well, actually, funny enough, Paris Campbell is getting some hype coming out of Giants camp. They're saying that he's commanding that slot role there, and he's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of opportunity in that slot role. And the thing is, Paris Campbell was actually a really good prospect coming out of Ohio State, but the thing is, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy, and that's always been the Achilles heel. So hopefully Paris Campbell can stay healthy, and if he does, apparently it looks like he's getting some opportunity there in New York. So we'll see what that looks like. It actually isn't a crazy bad pick down there, other than the joke. So Shane says, there you go. Brett hasn't even hit his prime yet. Yeah, maybe not. So Curtis Samuel comes off the board, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, and then Brock Purdy. And we should just keep loading up. 79 and 82 are our next picks. So we probably have to take one of these guys. I would like it to be Pickett, maybe even Bryce. That's probably my 2 top choices is Pickett and Bryce. So we'll hope to get one of them. And then what did I say the other one was? 79 and 82. So then we get to 82. I mean, shoot, if you can get a guy like Tyler Algier to fall down there, that's ideal. But as soon as I say that, of course, he goes off the board. Because if there was a Bijan injury, that would be nuts. I don't mind Jerome Ford down here. Zeke, if he signs, he's going to have a role. Definitely don't mind a Gus Edwards, a Zamir White, especially with Josh Jacobs rumors of being traded or them rescinding the franchise tender. Leonard Fournette can find a role. guys like Kareem Hunt, you take shots on these free agents because they're only being valued down here because they are free agents right now. And I know that they're a little bit older, but in these single season leagues, it doesn't matter. Brett says, is Kyler gone? Yeah, Kyler went a few rounds ago, 2 rounds ago. Actually, a while back. He went in 10th round before our A-Chain pick. So after Purdy went Chickasee Okonkwo, Alec Pierce, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Tyler Algier, Dalton Schultz, Khalil Shakir, Cordero Patterson, Isaiah Hodgins, and then Roshan Johnson. This is a good value on Roshan down here. He could very easily be the RB1 there in Chicago eventually, but if not, he's the RB1B to the situation there. Shane says, Deuce Vaughn, take all 5-2 of him. His film is so damn funny. Yeah, I hope you saw the highlights from training camp where they were joking that they were letting the joke was that they were letting one of the coach's kids take snaps at running back, which the reality is he is one of the coach's kids, but they were like meaning it as in like he was a child playing football out there with the Cowboys. So it was pretty funny. Claypool off the board, Deion Jackson off the board, Jordan Love, Dawson Knox, and we are slowly approaching our Bryce Young or Kenny Pickett pick. But first, because Kayla's man has that pick, we're gonna he has 2 quarterbacks already, so we're probably not gonna take our quarterback with this first one. We'll probably go Jerome Ford because he has a pretty unique bye week, and he should have a pass catching role behind Nick Chubb. He should fill into that Kareem Hunt role this year for the Cleveland Browns. But we're going to hope. Well, now that Bryce Young actually came off the board, we probably should just take Bryce or Kenny Pickett. Oh, Ford got hurt today? What was the injury? Dang, you got me on that one. I didn't catch that today. I've been too busy working, man. So let's actually, it'll show us right here. Oh, wait, let's just draft Pickett first. Second year Pickett. And where's Ford? Here it is. Well, he just got drafted. Whatever. We'll take Zeke. Let's go back. I want to see this freaking thing on Ford. What the heck is going on? Whatever. I can't even see it. Do you have the injury for us, Shane? If not, I can find it real quick. Running back Jerome Ford limps off the field during Monday's practice. Huge role exists for him. So not a lot of information to it yet. It seems like only happened a couple hours ago. So right hammy limped off the field. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you never know how serious it is. It literally could be nothing, or it could be, something serious. I mean, if you tear your hamstring, then obviously it's something serious, but it could just be a pull and then sits 2 weeks and he's fine again. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. Again, like I said, we've talked about these free agents, the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Kareem Hunts, the Leonard Fournettes, all those guys. If there's an injury like that in camp and a team needs some depth, you get one of these guys, Zeke, Kareem, any of them, all of a sudden they get some value. So that's why we're targeting some of these guys down here. So good call out on the Jerome Ford injury there, Shane. I had missed that one today. So thank you for looking out for us. And that's why you guys should be a part of this community, right? Like we're all helping each other win these fantasy football leagues. So even as much as I help you guys help me. So thank you. Right after Ezekiel Elliott comes off the board, Kareem Hunt, CJ Stroud, Mike Gesicki, Robert Woods, Chuba Hubbard, Jaden Reed, and Jeff Wilson. So we're feeling pretty good with the roster so far. We have Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett. That feels fine for me. Saquon Barkley, and then for our RB2, it's going to be Gibson, A-Chain, Jamal, Bigsby, Elliott. We probably are still going to add one or two there. And then we have Adams, Cooper, Kirk, Johnson, Pittman, Shark, and then Ingram and Komet. So I think we'll just add probably two more of these running backs and call it a day for this build. There's really nobody else at the wide receiver position that I really want or I'm super invested in. And for the sake of making sure we get that RB2 slot filled in, we might just take two more shots at that. But we did have, after Jeff Wilson, it was Tyler Conklin, Shane's favorite tight end, Richie James, Tyquan Thornton, Devontae Parker, and Darius Slayton. I think the value on Darius Slayton down here is really good because I think Darius Slayton could be, at least for these best ball purposes, he could be the highest upside out of Jalen Hyatt, probably. Maybe Jalen Hyatt has more upside than Slayton, but you could argue either way, I think. And he's virtually free because you're getting him with pretty much your last or second to last pick in these leagues. Shane Conklin is not my favorite tight end. Slayton has to beat out Paris Campbell. Well, the good thing is that Campbell is commanding the slot, so Slayton doesn't have to play the slot. That's all Campbell's role. He's gonna have to beat out Sterling Shepard. Will have to beat out Paris Campbell and Wan'Dale Robinson, both of them actually. And Brett says Paris Campbell is wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 in New York. Yeah, for sure. Stafford comes off the board. Lenny, Jelani Woods, Travion Williams, Trey McBride, Luke Musgrave, and we're up in a few picks, and we're going to just try and go. I know we have week 13 Saquon, but Gus Edwards down here is too good a value. We're going to try and go Gus or Zamir, both of them, even though they have week 13 buys. And it looks like Sam Howell off the board. One of my guilty pleasures this offseason has been Sam Howell. Does anybody else think Sam Howell is going to be good? I think he's going to be decent this year. Sounds crazy enough. I think he can at least do what Brock Purdy did last year, at least for fantasy purposes. Maybe not NFL purposes because Brock Purdy was winning some NFL games, but I think Sam Howell can produce from a fantasy standpoint the same way. And of course, we get sniped on Gus Edwards, so we'll take Zamir, especially with the Josh Jacobs stuff. Shane says he needs to comb his damn hair. Yeah, that's probably something that he probably should do. And there's not a lot left down here that I love. But I think what we'll end up doing, we're either going to go Malik Davis for Dallas or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I think we'll go, I think we're going to go Malik Davis. I really do think he's going to be the RB2 behind Tony Pollard. So we'll see what that turns into. But that is going to be the last running back on our build. So we should be completely filled out here. And yes, we are. So let's recap this team again real quick. Let me know what you guys think of the Hero RB build, but it is going to be a team with Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett at quarterback, followed by a running back room of Saquon Barkley, who is the hero of this group, followed by Antonio Gibson, Devon A-Chain, Jamal Williams, Tank Bigsby, Ezekiel Elliott, Zamir White, and Malik Davis filling in for hopefully that RB2 slot. Hopefully we get one of those guys to come in. Wide receiver position, we got to it pretty early, so we didn't get super deep, but I still feel like we have a deep room with Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman, and DJ Shark, and no conflicting bye weeks, which is always fun to see. And then our tight end room, per Shane's request, we went a little bit earlier than we did last time. We went Evan Ingram and Cole Kmet to stack with our Justin Fields, and then obviously Deontay Johnson to stack with our Kenny Pickett. So we do have some upside there. I do see we got Brett in here. He says, I know you got Devontae. Do you see him as the wide receiver one this year, or can you? Honestly, it's that guy back there, man. And I know I'm the Vikings fan, but he has shown us nothing for why he shouldn't be the wide receiver one. I guess in the range of outcomes for Adams, yeah, he could be but I think the reality is the most likely scenario is it's either this guy back here or a guy like Chase or Cup, one of those guys. I think Adams, he just falls out of that tier for me of the I mean, let's just look at it, man. I'll show you exactly where that tier ends for me because Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek, Cup, and Diggs, that's kind of that tier. AJ, he's on the fence, man. I don't know if I want him in this tier yet or not, but you could argue it. But then I think cutoff, and then we got Adams, who is probably the leader of this Amon-Ra, Waddle, and Lamb tier. I would argue Lamb and Wilson probably should be over Amon-Ra and Waddle, in my opinion. But that's kind of the tier that I'm at. Shane says Fields injury and you're screwed. Yeah, here's the reality. If you have any type of injury to one of these guys that you take that early, he was a top 4 pick for us. If you have one of those guys go down, you're pretty much screwed anyways. But I do think I might sound crazy. I think Kenny Pickett, man, year 2, I think he's not being respected. I know he didn't put a lot on tape, but I think year 2 is going to look a lot better for Kenny Pickett. It's just a weird hunch that I have. Take it with a grain of salt if you want, but they have the weapons there. They have the ability. He does have the ability to take that second year step. So, yeah, he probably isn't going to be a top 10 quarterback for you, but I don't see why he couldn't give you. I mean, let's just look at these quarterbacks again. Um, I mean, I don't see why Kenny Pickett can't give you numbers like Goff. I really don't see why he couldn't. A Goff or a Carr, and we got him way later, like 5 rounds later, 4 rounds later than those guys. I think he could give you those numbers. So, yeah, I believe in Kenny Pickett a tiny bit this year. We'll see what happens in year 2, but it's probably getting closer to that make or break type of thing for Kenny Pickett. If he doesn't put it together this year, then definitely next year is the make or break. Shane says Goff was top 9 last year. Yeah, I mean purely off of the amount of volume that he was throwing too, right? So Goff is disrespected too. There's a lot of guys disrespected in the NFL, right? Not everybody can be top 10, but I think we're projecting range of outcomes. And even though Goff was top 9 last year, let's look at fantasy football points per game because that's really what we care about once you take the injuries out of this. And for Jared Goff, the fantasy football points per game last year was 14. So I think that's a little bit closer to where he's being valued, right? So he's 14th in fantasy football points per game. Seems about accurate. Shane says love Goff. Yeah, a lot of people do, man. I don't blame you if you like him either. And the Lions, they get Jahmyr Gibbs and add Sam Laporta and hopefully more Jameson Williams this year if he can get it figured out. And yeah, maybe they take another step forward. So that's really that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me go full screen here for you real quick. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that video. If you have not joined our Discord, go join our Discord. It is free to join. It's going to be linked in the description. It'll be also linked in the YouTube banner. I am doing a Q&A in there in the next couple of days. So if you have any fantasy football questions, redraft, dynasty, keeper, or just NFL questions in general, go in there, drop a question. I'll answer them on a video here upcoming this week. And if you have dynasty fantasy football trades, I'm looking for some of those to be submitted as well. Go submit those in the Discord. And join us again next Monday. Mock Draft Mondays every Monday from now on until the start of the NFL season. That's really the way we're doing this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I won't waste any more of your time. I will see you on the next video. Peace out.